Oh, yes.
Welcome back once again, everyone. Today we're going to be taking a look at Transformers War for Cybertron Trilogy Autobot Impactor, brought to you by Netflix. This Impactor is a direct read echo of his standard Siege release, and he's been recolored in a way to help him more closely resemble his appearance in the War for Cybertron cartoon. So he's got, heavier battle damage applications and just kind of a darker color palette altogether. Now, despite the goal of this toy line being show accuracy, this character does still sport an Autobot symbol on his chest, like the Siege release, despite the fact that at no point in the show does he ever actually change his faction from Decepticon to Autobot. So that's a shame. I get how it would be confusing to, release him as a Decepticon, but I don't know, I feel it's a wasted opportunity. The version of Impactor that they released in the Fanvote 3 pack, which was based on his IDW design, they made him a Decepticon, despite the fact that IDW Impactor was never a con. So I feel like they really got it backwards. Like, they should have made that guy an Autobot and made this one a Decepticon, but oh well. They've made that decision, and there's really not much you can do now. Unless, of course, you want to, go like the Toy Hacks route or something and just slap a Decepticon logo on him. That is always an option. But anyway, if you've seen my reviews before, you know how this goes. We're going to take a look at Impactor in his packaging. Then we'll open it up. We'll see the instructions. We'll see his Teletran 1 backdrop piece. And then we'll see Impactor himself in both his vehicle and robot modes. I'll be doing some group shots with the other versions of this toy. And then at the end of the video, I'll give my final thoughts. So Impactor comes in your standard Netflix-based War for Cybertron packaging for the Deluxe class. And right in the front, you can just see him and get a load of, the different colors. The purple's definitely a lot darker, though I think that might be a lot of paint wash. I'm not sure. We'll get a good look at that. And then he does use this, really dark, almost greenish yellow for certain parts of his body, specifically the lower legs. So he's got some more plastic color mix-up than the standard version. Over here, you just get a very color-washed image of Impactor, looking very angry, which is very appropriate for the character. And then on the back, you get the renders for the toy. And these are a lot lighter than the finished product. They actually look a lot closer to the regular Impactor release. But the toy does take 19 steps to transform from tank to robot, or vice versa. And then when you flip this over on the side, you get your standard Netflix-altered Earthrise artwork. Okay, here we get to see Impactor's little backdrop piece, and contains a good chunk of the whole console and monitor area here. So that's pretty cool. Got a lot going on. And yeah, with this, well, that's all of them. So come the retrospective video, which I should be making shortly, we'll finally get a look at the completed thing. So definitely stay tuned for that. And then we get the instruction book. And again, he's Autobot Impactor, which is still not quite accurate, but okay. And you get this render of him here. Got his hook on the wrong hand, though. Actually, I think the image is just flipped. So there's that. Go ahead, open it up. This shows you how to attach his little harpoon hand replacement. And then we just get straight into the transformation. So he turns into his little Cybertronian tank mode, gives you a weapon storage, and the finished product. Here we get to see Impactor's vehicle mode. And you'll notice just brimming with really dark colors. They put a lot of this dark, Dijon mustard yellow paint all over him. Actually, that's the plastic color. And then the lighter yellow is the paint around the treads and stuff. That's interesting. And yeah, even the purple is a really, really dark color with some bright purple paint on it. So that is, they really altered his color palette quite a bit more than I'm used to seeing on these Netflix redos of Siege characters. It's all different plastic colors. So that's very interesting. He still has, all the same features that the regular version has. Rotating turret, a cannon that can be raised up and down a little bit, like so. And he rolls fairly well on his little tiny wheels there. The wheels are done up in a bright yellow, and looks like hinges and forearms are not forearms, but upper arms. So he's got a lot of different plastic colors going on. Rather interesting. So, yeah, I mean, I don't know. I like it. I think, honestly, they could have just done away with all the bright yellow and just made everything this dark color, make things a little more uniform. Because he really looks like, you know, some kind of weapon of war, which you wouldn't typically see in very bright colors anyway. Here's our group shot with the other two impactors. So in the middle, you have your standard release, who is just kind of a more brightly colored version of this one. And then over here, you have your fan multi-pack one, the one with the new head and everything and some color differences. So you can see he easily, our new Netflix guy, stands out the most by far. They just really decided to change course with him and do something completely different. Interestingly, it looks like the paint mask for his battle damage is the same as the others. It's just different colors. Or, well, no, it's the same as him. The IDW-based one seems to have different patterns going on, so that's interesting. So he's really more of a direct read echo of the standard version. Okay, here we get to see Impactor in his robot mode, and I haven't attached the wrist weapon yet. Just wanted you to see him in all of his standard glory. Now, for the most part, I kind of like the light yellow on the darker yellow when it looks like accents, right? Like these little bits here. But it really starts to clash when you get like large areas like the shoulder hinges, the helmet, forearms, not forearms, but the upper arms. Even the fists. The fists are painted bright yellow for some reason. I'm pretty sure the regular plastic color is just the dark yellow. I don't know why they felt that needed to be changed. So really what you get is his lower body is mostly dark yellow and the upper body is mostly light. And it looks kind of weird. It's not very consistent, I gotta say. So, I don't know, I wish they would have just pretty much stuck with one or the other. Like if you're gonna use the mustard yellow, use it as the main yellow color and just have, you know, brighter highlights instead of a half and half. So it's a little weird. Some other things to point out. You can see he's got this little scorch mark on his knee, which is interesting. And he gets some bright purple paint apps on certain parts of the purple plastic, like almost like an airbrush effect, except for the head crest and the cannon, which are pretty much just all painted light purple on their areas. So, I mean, odd color choices. I think he'd be a lot better if they had just kept his overall color more uniform and then just done little highlights here and there. But that's what we got. So now, he's not a proper impactor unless he's got a harpoon hand, right? So let's go ahead. Wrong way. Attach this here. Place it where it belongs. Uh-oh. Doesn't want to get in there. There we go. All right. So now he looks like he should. Harpoon hand and everything. And this is how he looks in the show, so it makes sense to have him in this configuration. Overall, again, color gripes aside, he looks pretty good. I mean, the mold's as solid as ever, and he does strike a very imposing presence. And here we get our group shot. So again, you have standard impactor in the middle, you get the fan vote pack or IDW impactor on the right. So we have a pretty interesting set here. That these two are most alike when it comes to plastic colors, but these two are most alike when it comes to color layout. Plus, obviously, you know, the same head sculpt. So, yeah, I mean, I guess it really just depends on your tastes. I think overall, I still prefer just your standard colors impactor. I mean, it's a character that came straight from Marvel Comics, which, you know, used very flat colors in their pages because they were, you know, kind of limited at the time. And he just feels right for that. Our new impactor does give me a sense of the character that we saw in the cartoon. But again, just the odd placement of the bright yellow really kind of hurts him. They really should have just gone all one color with the yellow plastic and just touched it up here and there. Because it looks weird. He looks like 50% of him came out of the show, and then the other 50% just used recycled parts from this guy. So it's a little bizarre. I don't think it was the most well-executed color scheme. There's also the fact, and I know I touched on this in the beginning, that he does rock an Autobot symbol, which, again, if he's supposed to be from the show, he shouldn't, right? He never did officially change allegiances in the show. He rocked a Decepticon sigil right up until the moment he died. So if it were up to me and I had my own perfect little world, these two would swap badges, because IDW Impactor was never a Decepticon, at least not officially. He did kind of ally with a group of them. And Netflix Impactor was never properly an Autobot, so... yeah, I don't know. I don't think this is a really great attempt at recreating the character we see on screen. And so that leads into my final thoughts. Should you get this guy? Really only if you didn't get an opportunity to pick up the standard release. This one does attempt to invoke the Netflix cartoon style, but it really fails at doing so, so it's not really quintessential, you know? It's kind of a rather poorly done coloration. Plus, as I keep mentioning, the inaccurate faction symbol really just destroys any chance that this guy has of playing Netflix Impactor. To me, he's just a dingier, less coherent alternative to the standard Siege release. So, I guess, end of the day, pick him up if you don't already have Impactor. If you do have the standard release, then I don't think he's worth your time. If you only have this release, then I can see a case being made because he does have the different head and does represent a very different version of the character. In fact, these two are pretty much polar opposites, right? You have an Autobot that has like no sense of honor at all, you know, commits war crimes and stuff. And then you have a Decepticon who ends up fighting for the enemy because he does have a sense of honor. So, I mean, these two, despite being the same character, couldn't be more night and day from each other. So, yeah, again, up to you. The only reason I ended up picking this guy up was because I wanted to complete the backdrop, and with acquiring him, we've done just that. So expect my next video to be a retrospective of the entire second wave of the Netflix toys. So we'll see Impactor again, along with all of his wave mates of the different size classes, and just really break down what worked and what didn't there. And I'm looking forward to making that, and I know a lot of you guys are too. The retrospectives seem to be pretty popular, so I enjoy doing them. All right, before I prattle on for too long, those are my thoughts on this new Impactor. Now I want to know what you all think of him. Do you see him as an improvement or a downgrade compared to the original version? Do you see any incentive to picking him up if you already have the original version, aside from just getting a piece of cardboard? Or is he just not special or not unique enough to consider dropping another 20? Looking forward to hearing your guys' responses in the comments section. If you enjoyed this review, make sure to toss it a like. Let YouTube know you want to see more stuff like this. If you do want to see more like this, make sure to subscribe and hit the notification bell so you always get a heads up when I post something new. I thank you for joining me for this look at the Netflix Transformers War for Cybertron Impactor. And with all that said, I will see you next time.